Hey everybody, I am live. It is Freedom Friday. I'm Kenyatta Turner, your host, CEO, and founder of Freedom Empire Consulting. And if you've been here on a Freedom Friday before, you know what happens. We're going to talk about a quote, we're going to do updates, but normally it's just me and it's just a monologue. But I've got some special guests with me today that I'm going to bring up here in a moment. I'm going to make it to where you can see their faces all big like that right now and say hello. And you know the rules. If you're watching right now live, then in the chat, go ahead and give me a hashtag team live. Depending on where you're watching from, we should be able to see that. And then, of course, if you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag team replay so that I know when you watch this thing. All right. So we are broadcasting right now on my Facebook page, on my business page, in the personal development party Facebook group, on LinkedIn Live, and on YouTube, because you know what? The magic of technology, it automatically puts it everywhere through StreamYard. So I'm so excited. I'm coming to a TV screen near you right now for Freedom Friday. So here's who I have right now in the room with me. Well, not in the virtual room with me, is two of my business partners and besties. I've got Sherry Gideons and Jeff Fagin. So I'm going to introduce them in a moment and give them an opportunity to say hello to you. But remember, in the comments, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know you're here so that you can engage and you can ask questions. But we've got a lot of fun things to share with you. So we're going to talk about the Freedom Friday quote in a moment, but I want real quickly just for Sherry and Jeff to say hello and tell you who they are, because they're going to engage in the conversation on the Freedom Friday quote. So Sherry Gideons, I met in May of last year. We met very briefly online. From Jennifer Gerald introduced us. So shout out to Jennifer Gerald for introducing us. Yeah. We met on Zoom, had a great conversation. Right away, we knew, oh my God, we're going to totally be friends forever. But when we met in person at Leah Woodford's event that I spoke at, which was it October, Sherry? Maybe?
I think it was the beginning of October.
Somewhere around then, October. So shout out to Leah Woodford for having her amazing Smart Femme Network event, asking me to be one of the panelist speakers because Sherry was there and we met in person. And I think we've been attached at the hip ever since. So let's start with Sherry. Say hello, Sherry, and tell them who you are and where do you hail from?
Yeah, well, hello, I'm Sherry Gideons. I'm the survivor of 2 near-death experiences. I'm a transformational speaker, international best-selling author, and life mastery and dream builder coach. I help you to quantum leap your influence, your impact, and your income to manifest your destiny. And I hail from Phoenix, Arizona.
Arizona, that's where you are. Yes. And Sherry is behavioral superpowers, is an influencer like me. So you know that's totally why we hit it off. We're like, oh, yeah. 2 influencers. Here we go, right? So we started getting together, talking about so many amazing things. I mean, instantly we were connected on a spiritual level, quite honestly. I mean, we can go all into that, but there's no separating us at this point, right? Which is really cool. So we started talking about all the amazing things that we wanted to do together in ways that we know that we can help people in our own journeys, right? We can help others with theirs, all the different things that she talked about. And in behavior is one of them. So we started planning some fun things, some courses and things we're going to offer together and combine some things with our businesses. But we started planning an event that we're going to talk to you about in a moment. And through the process of that, she says to me, oh, we should call my friend Jeff Fagin, who lives here also in Phoenix, and have him speak at the event, be a part of what we're doing at this event. So then that's how I got introduced to Jeff Fagin. So Jeff is an initiator, his behavioral superpower style. So we fit right in with us. So Jeff, I love for you to take a moment and introduce yourself to the people and tell them something about you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for inviting us, Kenyatta. I really appreciate it. The energy is fantastic. And I love the theme for the show. I've been living here in Phoenix now since 1977. So I guess you could basically say I'm a Phoenician at this point. And more than anything, for the last 20 years of my life, I'm an old man at this point, so I don't want to bore everybody. But for the last 20 years, really my life, I've been fortunate enough to have had a lot of success. And because of it, I've been able to kind of choose my passion has always been business and personal success training. And I was fortunate enough to partner up with one of my close personal friends. His name is T. Harv Ecker. And Harv was building a company at the time called Peak Potentials Training. And I became his right-hand man. And really, we were fortunate enough to be able to start with a little startup company and really grow it into a global company. In fact, one of the world's largest business and personal success training companies.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Harv, and I came back to Phoenix. I started an organization here in town called the Phoenix 2% Club. Sherry started coming to some of my events, and I was fortunate enough to get some really high profile figures to come to the events. And my passion is business and personal success training. And two of my greatest mentors are Napoleon Hill and T. Harv Eker. So when this all came about and I got the opportunity to work with you two ladies, it's good to pass up. So I'm really excited to be working with you. I'm excited for this project that we're going to talk about and for the future of what we can bring to the people here in Phoenix.
I love it. Thank you, Jeff. And right away when we met, and Sharon, obviously I trusted her when she said he's a good guy. We got to talk to him. And right away we met. I was like, yes, this is going to be amazing. And we didn't know where that conversation was going to go. And then here we are planning some pretty amazing things we're going to share with you guys in just a moment. And so we're going to get to that in just a second. So Sherry and Jeff, thank you so much for being here. What I'm going to do right now is bring up the Freedom Friday quote, because we're going to start with that and then we'll get into some other things. So those of you who are watching right now, as I mentioned earlier, this is Freedom Friday. And every Friday for a year and a half now, I think it seems like, and I'm not going to say every Friday, almost every Friday, I will post a quote around the word freedom. Now, why is that important to me? Well, it isn't an accident that my company is called Freedom Empire Consulting. So let's just start there. So to me, a freedom empire, it can be a place, but it's more of a mindset. It's more of a state of being. It's more of the freedom empire can be whatever it is for you, whatever it is in your life that you want to have your empire be and how you want to rule it. That's what you get to pick. Okay. So it's about what do you want to do? How long do you want to do it with? Who do you want to do it with? When do you want to come back from doing it? How much money do you want to have when you're doing it? How much money you want to have in the bank when you come back, right? All these different things. Freedom of movement, Sherry and I always talk about, right? But the word freedom has so many different context that it can be used in. I think that's what really started fascinating me when I started thinking about how other people thought about the word freedom. So what I did is I started looking up quotes around freedom, and I wrote here in my post that I did, and here's the quote right here, but I wrote, as a noun, freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint, okay, as a noun. But there are many other interpretations that I write, and I said, let's explore them together. And that's what we do every single week. So I wrote, I love this quote by Martin Luther King Jr., which is an insightful and stark reminder that we must demand our freedom. And I put in all forms. Okay. So think about that. All forms, not just physically, but what about mentally? Okay. Sometimes I put, we are the oppressor of ourselves, and therefore we must demand freedom from ourselves. And what about the state of mind that comes along with that, right? So the quote is, freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. And so when I saw this, like right away, I thought about obviously the idea of someone restricting someone's physical or, personal freedom, right? The person who might be oppressing someone doesn't usually just give that up and let them free, right? That's something, if they've got them, they're holding them down in some kind of way. It takes a lot for the oppressor to say, okay, you can go, right? Whatever that is, even from a physical standpoint. But think about the person who is wanting to be free. You have to demand that of the thing or being, or if it's even you that's holding you down. And this is why I think this is so important. I know that, and I believe freedom is and can truly be a mindset. So if that is the case, then who is holding you back from being free? Ideally, it's you. So that's the whole point. Like you can be the oppressor of yourself. Think about when you talk to people who have or talk about limiting beliefs as an example, right? Well, what is a belief? A belief is something that you tell yourself over and over and over and over and over again until you believe it. Hence, it becomes a belief. So if you tell yourself a limiting belief that's in my mind, oppressing you, then you believe that. So when you think you can't do something, or you can't have something, or you can't make a certain amount of money, or you can't build that business, or you can't lose the weight, or all the things that you say you can't do, right? And Henry Ford says, either you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Okay. So when you start telling yourself that, who truly then is the oppressor in that situation? Now, sometimes we like to look at it externally because it's really fun to blame other people, right, for where we are. And you try to say, well, they're oppressing me, or she's oppressing me, or the man is oppressing me, or my business, or my job, or my husband, or my wife, or whatever. But really, is it really them, or is it really you? And so for me, when I saw this quote, it had me really thinking about that, is how often am I, Kenyatta, the one who is oppressing my own freedom because of the way I think? So that like struck me kind of hard, like, I need to acknowledge that and just sit with myself and meditate on that, quite honestly, because again, I believe that to be true, that we can be our strongest oppressor and the hardest one to get away from, because we have to live inside our own heads, right? So anyway, those are just some of my initial thoughts about this quote. And again, it could have many different contexts, but this is just one of them that came to mind. So Sherry and Jeff, I would love to know, what are your thoughts about this quote? You probably just saw it for the first time a few minutes ago when I shared it. So what does it mean to you? And in the context of freedom, I would love to hear what you have to share.
Yeah. So for myself, I mean, it kind of goes back to what I like to call my great awakening. Up until the point of that, I blamed everybody else. I was looking to receive love and acceptance from the world. I thought that in order for me to find that, I had to be perfect. And what ended up happening is, in my case, is I had a near-death experience. And it was in that experience that I was shown not only my purposes, but that we've all been given this incredible freedom, that we've all been given the choice to create our own reality. And so, like most of us, I had to go through challenge and setback and struggle and, dealing with my own mindset, and then coming to the realization, wait a minute, you know what? It's never about anybody else. It's only about me.
Right.
And when I make that decision in the moment, what am I going to do? Am I going to give more power to the oppressed side of myself, the not worthy, not good enough, not deserving? Or am I going to stand in my power, and am I going to align with that presence, that knowing that there's this infinite power that's inside of me, and I can choose differently. I can choose freedom. And that comes down to the degree that I believe, to the degree I allow. Absolutely. And so the more that I had this burning desire inside of me, we talk about it all the time, Kenyatta, to have freedom of movement. And the more that I built that muscle of living throughout the moments of today and observing my behavior and observing, where was my mindset? And then I had the willingness to do what? Guess what? To thank it, to thank that part of myself for, what? Thank you for showing me a part of myself that I'm ready to release. I'm ready to surrender. And I'm ready to take back my power and live my truth, which is speaking to all of you and sharing tips and solutions daily with, how to reconnect with your power. Your freedom.
Love it. Love it. Well said. Mic drops. We got a couple of people watching here who says, so some person who says Facebook user, I don't know who it is, says mindset is everything. And then someone here says that Samantha Ware says she disagrees. She says choice isn't available to all. We wish it was, but realistically, choices can be limited by others, even if you believe in you. And, Samantha, I think that's a great thing to mention, right? Is that you might be in a situation where and I'm going to say physically someone might be restricting a choice you're trying to make. But in my opinion, and I have to disagree with that, mentally, it's always your choice.
Yep.
I feel like the only things I can control are my thoughts and my actions, right? And I have full control over that. No one has that. However, in a physical sense, someone may be restricting a choice I'm trying to make. But spiritually, in my opinion, that's a never, a never. But I love again the conversation, because that's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to elicit by even doing this. There's so many different ways to think about this word, right? And what does it mean? So Samantha, thank you so much for popping in on that conversation. Jeff, I'd love to kick it over to you and have you share your thoughts as well.
Okay, well, first of all, I think Samantha is right in what she said.
Mm-hmm.
There are many ways of of looking at the same situation,
Right.
and there are multiple ways of looking at it that are correct.
Yes.
So I would agree that very definitely sometimes like the law restricts what we can do.
Absolutely.
If we go outside the law, we're gonna pay the price for it. I really enjoyed both your first response and Sherry's as well, Kenyatta. I enjoyed both your responses.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, the biggest lesson that I have learned, or certainly one of the biggest lessons as far as freedom, is that there's a mind scam going on. And I'm just going to make this real quick. But the mind scam is a belief that that little voice that we're listening to all day long is us, and that we are our mind, and that little voice that's talking to us is us. It really isn't. It actually is. Some people call it our reptilian brain. You could actually
Right.
call it your
Yeah.
oppressive brain,
Yeah.
because it wants to keep you inside your comfort zone. It wants to keep you safe. So it oppresses you. And the greatest freedom you can ever have is when you stop playing the role of the victim and you start getting into your true self, or what we call your higher self,
Right.
and realize that this oppressive little voice that wants to restrict you and keep you inside your comfort zone is really restricting you from exhibiting your full potential and the freedom to be all who you are.
Yeah.
So when
Absolutely.
you learn to get out of the role of playing the victim and believing everything that little voice inside your head is telling you all day long, and the scam is believing that that little voice is you, because it's not you.
Mm-hmm.
Your true self is where you'll find your freedom and you'll find your power. And so, all of us, I agree with you, we can control our thoughts. That's the only thing that we do have 100% control over. We can't control other people, we cannot control circumstances, but we can 100% control how we respond to everything in our life. And therein lies the key. And if we really want freedom, the way to get to it the fastest is to avoid listening to our little voice and start living in our true self. Then we have freedom all the time.
I love it. Well
Love
said,
it.
Jeff. Yes, I love these conversations. Literally, I can sit around and do this all the time. Remember, I said, "Oh, it'll be about 20 minutes." It's already been 20 minutes, right? Because we can go, and that's okay. Because we got a few more things to share with you guys. We're not going to be here long, but I appreciate having Sherry and Jeff here with me to share and talk about their thoughts about the Freedom Friday. Gwendolyn, I saw you on here. You said yes, a lot of this gets installed in early childhood. Absolutely, but as an adult, it's up to us to get healing, right? Those stuck things. And I love how, you take the ownership of that, because all of us have experienced all kinds of things in our lives. And here's the thing, more is coming. Okay. There's going to be something else, at some point. But again, it's up to you about how you're going to deal with it, what your attitude's going to be. And again, to me, that is a freedom that we all have that no one can take away from us. We can give it away, but no one can really take it. And again, we have to demand freedom from ourselves, because that little voice, like you said, Jeff, can get us squirrely, and we're like, no, 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 right? I'm taking control here, right? And that higher self is really what you would want to listen to. So thank you so much for that. So I'm going to take this out of here right now. And that is the Freedom Friday quote. But before we wrap up, let's talk about something else, because we are talking about mindset here. We're talking about behavior. We mentioned Think and Grow Rich. Now, why would we talk about these things right now? If you've been listening to any of my Freedom Fridays, you probably always heard me talk about Think and Grow Rich in some kind of way. You heard me talk about a quote or something from Napoleon Hill. You heard me talk about the book. If you've watched any of these, I've mentioned it in some sort of way. Why is that? Because I live in my best ability the practices that he teaches. I've read the book over and over again since 2018 when I got introduced to it by someone who got me in a mastermind with Paul Martinelli. Then I got in a mastermind with Tony Agers. I'm still in Tony's mastermind. We do it every single 12 weeks, okay, from 2018. So it is a part of my life. I don't know. There's no going back for me from the things that I've learned in the concept in this book. I've even taught my own masterminds around it, and even using Sharon Lecter's book, Think and Grow Rich for Women. And I could go on, but I want you to know that that's why you hear me talking about it so much, is because it's not just I'm saying, oh, you should read this book, it's going to be good. No, it's because it's a part of my life. So anytime I get a chance to have conversations with anyone about this book, I'm like, let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's dissect it. Let's interpret it, because it's like any other book. You're going to read it and interpret it the way that it makes sense for you. And here's what I know. How you do anything is how you do everything behaviorally. And there's a difference between reading a book and doing a book. Two different things. Okay. Completely different things. So some of you may have read the book, but my question is, have you done the book? Okay. That's a different story, right? It's a whole different story. So when I connected with Sherry and then of course with Jeff, and we really realized a lot of things that we have in common and our love for Napoleon Hill and his works and being practitioners of what he preaches. We were planning this event. We already had some inklings about it. Sherry and I had spoken about it. And when we talked to Jeff, we really got together and masterminded together and said, you know what? There's some really cool things that we could do, around this book and the concept and the teachings. And it's going to start with the movie. So some of you may not even know that there is a Think and Grow Rich movie, and it's called Think and Grow Rich, the Legacy movie. I'm going to bring up something right now to show you what I'm talking about. And then I would love for Sherry and Jeff to tell me, what's this all about?
Yeah.
What's happening next week? I'm curious. Sherry, what's going on next week?
Yeah. So we put a vision together. And like I said, when we got together in our mastermind, we came up with this most powerful opportunity, one, to share behavior, and two, to really share those principles of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And we wanted to bring the movie forward, which a lot of you have probably seen already or may not have. But the Think and Grow Rich legacy movie is powerful. And I was given the unique and wonderful opportunity last year to be a keynote speaker on Think and Grow Rich, the Legacy Tour. And so, one of my greatest mentors, was Bob Proctor. And many of us know that Bob recently passed. But one of the things that he said that was so powerful, and I just kept living in my own life, is anything the mind can conceive and believe, we can achieve. And he said, when we dig into Napoleon Hill's work, literally, you are digging into who you are. And at a time in my own life when, I was struggling, I was homeless on the streets, one of the things that had been said to me in my near-death experience was that I never had to worry, that all the right people would show up at the right moment to help me move forward. Well, I got a library card and I'm in the library, and what book leaps out to me, almost like it was lit up, illuminated, is Think and Grow Rich. And the things that I had been told in my near-death experience is what was written in this book. And that book gave me the courage and the strength through some of my most challenging moments to tap in to the inside of me, to use these principles, these universal laws of nature that literally bring to us all of the things that we have that burning desire for within. And when we begin to apply these principles, like what are in Think and Grow Rich, our life begins to change. It begins to change for the better. And so that's why I'm so excited about bringing this, to people. How about you, Jeff?
Absolutely. You're muted.
You're muted.
Pardon me? I'm right there with you two ladies. I absolutely. I could watch this movie 1,000 times, just like I could read the book 1,000 times. Because the one thing is, I first read the book in 1969. So you do the math. That's
wow.
over 50 years ago. I was a 15-year-old kid. And And as a 15-year-old kid, I could only understand it as a 15-year-old could. But I will tell you this, that it was the first time I was introduced to what Napoleon Hill called your other self. And I refer to it as your higher self, but he referred to it as your other self. And at 15, I began to realize that this was a book that would change my life forever.
Right.
And I've studied this book, as you ladies have, for many, many years. And in my case, over 50.
Yeah, a lot more years than I have.
But you know what? In my opinion, I'm going to give a little a plug for my other personal mentor, T. Harv Eker.
Please.
He wrote a book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I believe that if you just studied Think and Grow Rich and Secrets of the Millionaire Mind and really studied and applied the principles in those two books, your future would be guaranteed. It's almost a guaranteed system that if you just follow the system, you're guaranteed to have massive success. So to be able to find like-minded people in the Phoenix community that want to get into this kind of energy, and very much it's a very, very powerful energy.
Yes.
I believe the Think and Grow Rich philosophy really is an energy. It's a vibration. And when you get into that energy and you get into that vibration and you start to feel the flow and you start to see how it all comes together, it's almost hypnotic and transformational how excited you start to become, because aha moments start to flash into your mind on a routine basis, because maybe for the first time in your life, you're really in touch with your sixth sense.
Right.
And so for me, I'm just so excited to be involved with you ladies, to be able to talk about the book, the philosophy, the principles, and just find more like-minded people in our community that share the same passion for their personal success as we do.
Well said. I get chills like listening to you, like, because again, right now that energy is on fire as we sit here speaking to each other right now. I cannot, my face just got little goosebumps on it, you know.
And mine's hot.
Yeah, like I can't wait till we're in that room.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so you guys now, if you, and I think Jeff, you put the link in the chat in one of the Facebook areas and everything like that. You guys, this event, we are doing it for free. It is going to be at the Better Business Bureau in Phoenix, Arizona next Thursday. And you have to register for it, obviously. But I think we only have like 2 or 3 seats left.
Get your seat.
Like there's going to be like 60 people, you know, at this event. And I cannot wait, all of us getting together, watching this movie together, masterminding about this movie. We have a special guest speaker, Dr. Evelyn Bethune, and she is the granddaughter of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who founded Cookman Bethune University. And so here's the thing. She is featured, her grandmother is featured in this movie. So let me just say this. If you've read the book, and in your mind, you have imagined the characters that he speaks about in the book. You've imagined their stories in your own visual mind. But what the movie does really amazingly is puts those images on the screen. You're seeing the stories that you read be played out on the screen, which is so cool and so amazing. Yeah. And then her story in here, her grandmother's story is in this book, or in this movie. And I realized that, you know what, I would love to have her share with us after the movie what her thoughts are, about how her grandmother was depicted in this movie, but all the, you know, just whatever she wants to share with us, right? She's going to be the guest speaker, honorable guest speaker. Dr. Evelyn Bethune will be speaking after the movie as well. We've got some other fun things planned up our sleeve, but this is powerful, not been done the way that we're doing it before. And the last thing I'll mention, it's called Behave and Grow Rich. Why would we call it that? Well, we would call it that because, again, if you watched any of my Freedom Friday lives, you know that I'm a behavioral superpowers coach, a specialist, a trainer, coach, speaker, all the different things. All I do, everything I do starts and ends with behavior. You heard my hashtag behavior matters. You heard me talk about it because I say, again, how you do anything behaviorally is how you do everything. So here's the thing I know that I process the information in Think and Grow Rich, how I'm wired to process it behaviorally. Sherry does the same way. Jeff has done it the same way that he's done it. It doesn't matter. Everyone is going to handle their own personal growth and development, how they're behaviorally wired to. So from the stages, I don't matter who you are, you could be Tony Robbins or Oprah, I don't care. Everyone is always going to tell you that you need to have a deep level of self-awareness, that you need to know who you are. You need to understand your life's purpose. You need to know what your burning desire is, Napoleon Hill calls it. You need to understand what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And you need to apply that to these principles of achievement. But no one can tell you what those behavioral things are about you. No one can tell you how you find your own self-awareness. Well, we can. Okay. We can. You've heard me say it before, right? With the tool that we use called behavioral superpowers, we can literally get to the core of who you are and how you're wired, how you make decisions, how you do everything. That's why it's called Behave and Grow Rich, because every single person who attends will have an opportunity to find out what their behavioral superpower style is. And then we've got some special things planned along with that. So this is not just any old thing. This is behave and grow rich. So you've not seen anything like this before, and you'll only see it from us. I can tell you that right now. So we are changing the face of personal growth and professional development through adding a component in a way that no one has ever done. So stay tuned for more about that. So super excited. So glad you guys are here and we talked about this. Those of you who want more information about Sherry or Jeff, tell us, how can people reach you if they want to connect with you? How can they find you?
Okay, easy. You know what? They can either find me on Facebook. They can see my name. It's just printed right underneath me, and they can send me a friend request. Or they can go on, and I'm also on LinkedIn. Or if they want to just want to reach out to me by email, it's my name, jeff.fagin@gmail.com.
Awesome. Hey, you guys, blow up his inbox. Email him right now. Excellent. And then Sherry, how can people find you out in the internet streets?
Yeah, so the same way, people can find me on Facebook under Sherry Gideons, on LinkedIn under Sherry Gideons. You can visit my website at sherrygideons.com, or you can reach out to me as well, and that is sherry@sherrygideons.com.
Nice and easy, just their names, right? Find them. And you guys know me. I'm Kenyatta Turner, CEO and founder of Freedom Empire Consulting, where I coach, influence, and protect. But if you want to meet us in person, and you are in Phoenix, then hey, try to grab one of these last final seats for the event we're having next Thursday. You'll obviously hear more from us. Oh, and I should mention, some people signed up for the event and didn't realize it was in person. So if you're one of those people, you're watching right now, it's in person. If you're not in Phoenix, Arizona, and you're somewhere else, I hope you plan on flying in. If not, cancel your ticket because it's in person. I know that threw people for a loop, but that's actually something that we decided to do on person. Now, intentionally. Doesn't mean we won't do it virtually in the future. We probably will, but this first event is in person, basically invite only, and that's why it's already almost full. So we've got a couple seats left. But I appreciate all of you for listening in to Freedom Friday live on Friday. Here it is, February 18th. Sherry and Jeff, I appreciate you joining me, especially impromptu, joining me anytime. I'd love to have you here. And everyone else out there who are watching, thank you for commenting. Go ahead and make sure you put your comments in, like it, love it, share it, all the things. And then we will see you next time. And remember, hashtag behavior matters. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye now.
See you guys later. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. You guys stay on for just a second. I'm going to end the broadcast. Ending broadcast. Doodles.